Brady. This is going to be exciting.
And they got a car restarts up we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
Elimination round number 2 starts tonight, right here, one of my favorite tracks for the trucks. Back to sunny Florida one more time. It's the SAVE22 Truck Series presented by Goat Locker Racing, coming at you live from Homestead Miami Speedway. Be ready for some of the best racing we have seen all season long, with the championship on the line for now, just 8 drivers, and it's now or never. Welcome back to the V-Speeds booth. I'm Logan Threlkel, joined by, of course, Sky Streck as our co-commentator, and Eddie Smith running the production behind the scenes. Sky, Goat Locker Racing hasn't taken the Truck Series to Homestead since Season 7, and the driver who won that race 2 seasons ago was Jeremy Gardner, who will not be here for tonight's race, leaving himself in a must-win situation next week. But ultimately, the door opens for a new Homestead winner and a higher chance for a new playoff race winner.
Yeah, I mean, Gardner not being here is huge tonight. He was so good in the last round, won last time out at Charlotte. He's had a great season. I think many would consider him a championship favorite. Him being in a must-win at Martinsville next week is going to produce some chaotic racing. Looking more at this week, though, you're right. We definitely have some drivers who are in this playoffs that haven't had a win yet this season. You look a little bit down the grid, guys like Craig Bontrager, Jamie Mullins, who just snuck into this round. They don't have wins yet. Levi McCarty hasn't won one since about 5 weeks ago at Darlington. Timothy Peters has been a while for him as well. He hasn't won one since Lime Rock. A lot of drivers looking to get their first win this season in this playoff field.
Patrick Dravik taking home the win at Richmond, followed up by Jeremy Gardner at Charlotte. Let's see who takes home Homestead. But for now, let's send it over to Jared. Oh, we'll take it to the Google imaging here of Homestead Miami instead. Right there, right off the beach with 18 to 20 degrees of banking around the corners here in Homestead, 1.5 miles around. And it's a multi-grooved racing surface, so it's going to be, action all over, all up and down the track, all throughout the field. You can get the long run pace, you can have the short run pace, and ultimately cautions will be what kind of controls how we see with such a green flag running Friday night stint that we've had. Sky, what kind of racing do you expect to see here tonight?
I think we're going to see some really good racing here tonight, and I am very excited. Homestead is always a track where you can kind of get that multi-groove action going, where you can run the bottom, the top. This is one of the tracks that's really famous for being able to run the top, and I think that ends up producing some of the best racing we have on the schedule. We're going to see the line change all over the place throughout the night. You're going to see cars running top towards the long runs. I think we're going to see the bottom a little more on the short runs. It's going to be really interesting to see how these lines get driven here tonight.
It'll be top and bottom chaos all around. But this qualifying nearly concluded. About 10 seconds left before we find out what our running order is. But for now, Goat Locker Racing wants you. If you want to support Goat Locker Racing here, you can scan that QR code or text Goat Locker to 79848. That is what helps Goat Locker get the approved grants and everything to help make this entire operation function. All you have to do is just scan that QR code on your screen or text Goat Locker to 79848. Well, the qualifying is officially complete here, Sky. Let's take a look at our grid. And on our Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award is going to be the 24 of Levi McCarty with a 32.409. The 07 of Patrick Dravick will start on the outside row with a 32.475. Timothy Peters, who, Scott, you just mentioned not long ago, starting up here at the front of the pack in third, 32.476. Jamie Mullins in the 66 will start out in fourth. Fifth will be the Barrett Morton machine, number 9 on the inside of row 3, next to the 87 of Jake Ham. Seventh, David Duke in the 78, starting out here in the top 10, next to the 33 of Tyler Justice. Last but not least, in our top 10, Jacob Ellingston in the 27 starts out in 9th, next to the 49 of Craig Bontrager.
And rounding out your field tonight, 11th is going to be Brandon Wallace in the 99. James Goshen rolls off 12th in the 85. Jamie Barkis goes off 13th tonight in that 15 car. Mike Browning 14th in the 4. He was the last driver to take the qualifying time. Back from there, you've got Stephen McDonald in the 68 and 15th. Michael Seymour in the 37 and 16th. And last 2 cars on the field tonight are going to be Chuck Phelps in the 75 and 17th, and Matt Knights in the 64, starting in 18th.
18-car field here tonight. You know, you had to think, with the 100 laps that we have on the board, 18 cars, we'll see most of them finish out this race here tonight. Here are some of your driver cams on the night. Take a look at that one in the bottom left. Jacob Ellingson, an absolute trooper here tonight. Got caught up in an accident here in real life not too long ago. He's going to tackle this race with a neck brace on. And, you know, starting out in the top 10, that's already pretty good standings for that 27.
Yeah, we were talking pre-race, and you told me he was racing tonight, and I went, he's racing tonight? I was shocked that he is going to come out here and really run this out. He wants that championship bad. He's got a neck brace on, and he's still here. That's how much he wants it.
You know, champions, they can really become some legendary status whenever you do something like that. Jacob Ellingson in a great standings in the points coming into this. We'll see if he can carry on the momentum, make it on to the next round, but we've got 2 races to get through before we get there. Tonight is 100 laps. We've got a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit down pit road. 4 tire sets available, 2 green-white checkered attempts, 100% fuel load on the night. Pace truck is off, green flag is out, and we are underway in Miami. Lap 1 is in the books. Levi McCarty, he takes it all the way around to claim the first lap lead in the 24. Timothy Peters shuffles his way up to second place. Patrick Dravick now falling back a little bit to fourth. On the outside right now of Barrett Morton. With the slight advantage, he'll drop down in front. Take a look to the inside here of Timothy Peters.
Big jump for that 24 car, Levi McCarty. He's already pulled half a second out in front of this side-by-side battle back there in P2. And as Peters gets clear of Drabic, McCarty is going to get even further away because Drabic is really trying to push to get around that 46 car right now. Everybody's running the inside here at the front pretty early. I think we're going to see cars migrate more up towards the top the longer this race goes on. You're already seeing some of those cars towards the middle, towards the back of the pack starting to move up there. Jake Ham, for one, riding a little bit higher than many of the cars around him.
Keeping the clean air on the nose here for the 87. Not a bad way to go, but at what expense? The tires, of course. Now being a night race here in Miami helps keep the temperature at bay. But on board now with the InVets in-car camera, Jake Ham showing us how it's done here whenever it's 75 degrees on the track. That high line is going to be his best friend here to start out this run.
It is, and we know Jake Ham is fighting for this championship. He won the most races during the regular season. So he is one of the favorites coming into this, especially with Jeremy Gardner missing this race. You might say he's the favorite at this moment in time. So he wants to get up to the front of the field here in a hurry, try to add another win to, I believe, what would be his 6th this season. He hasn't won a race in the last 3 races, and that is his longest streak of not winning all year. Car on the apron, that is Jake Ellingson down there. He'll drop a couple spots, falling from about 9th back to 11th.
Take it back here and take a look at the V-Speed instant replay on board now with the 27 of Ellingson on exit of 2. You can see he just gets loose there on the bottom. Does a great job to collect it back up, keep the truck straight coming down the back stretch just below on the apron. He's going to lose some spots, but ultimately not too bad. Stays inside the top 10 here. As you can see, Ham still running that top line. Ellingson to the bottom now, just behind. But up ahead, we've got Timothy Peters has caught up to Levi McCarty, challenging now for that number 1 spot, separated by just less than 1/10 of a second.
These are two drivers who haven't won in a little while. McCarty since Darlington, Peters since the week before at Lime Rock. Been about a month and a half for both of these cars, and now TJ Peters is going to pull it through on the inside. McCarty not really putting up a fight too early in this run. That 46 car wants to get the lead, and he wants to try to pull out front. Might burn up his tires a little bit compared to some of these guys who are taking it easy further back, but he wants this lead. For now, he's got it.
If you can get there and stay clear of all the activity, you might as well. And that half-second lead that we saw McCarty has completely switches hands in 1 lap. Now Peters up. Look at Patrick Drabic taking the inside line here. The 66 of Mullen's going to try to follow. McCarty stuck up on the outside. He's going to get a good drive off the corner. Drabic slides up in front, though. Shuts the door for the 24.
Jamie Mullins in 3rd. That's one of his best runs of the season. He's a playoff driver who doesn't have a win. Tonight would be a big one for him because it would lock him into the championship race. He was one of the last cars into the round of 12, one of the last cars through into the round of 8. Doesn't want to be the last car into the championship 4. He wants to get it done now if he can.
Might as well. You can really pick up some momentum here late in the season, too, with the win tonight. Could completely kickstart the back half of the season. On board now with Drabic looking off the back of the truck. The 66 of Mullins looks to the inside. Drabic keeps him way low here. Not a whole lot of room to make a mistake. It's going to inhibit Mullins' idea of being able to get a good drive off of turn number 4. Slides back in behind the 07. Look behind. It is Duke to the inside of McCarty now. 78 is going to work his way up here a little bit closer to the front of this pack. Barrett Morton on the bottom line as well. Duke was able to get around pretty easily there of McCarty in 1 and 2. Let's see if the 24 keeps it up high on the track. He does. Morton's going to look to the inside now, try to take that same line just behind. David Duke riding in tow here behind the 66 of Mullins, trying to gain some ground on the leaders. Just look at Peters, almost a 1.5 seconds now over Patrick Drabic.
I was going to say, we've had a lot of comers and goers so far tonight, but Timothy Peters kind of came to the front and he has just gone away from everybody else. While Drabic, Mullins, and Duke have been doing battle, he has been extending that lead up to 1.5 seconds. he's going to try to open up that gap as much as is possible. Not really worrying about tire wear or anything. He just wants to get clear. He wants to get away and hope that he gets enough of an advantage to where he's still good towards the back end of this stint.
And not getting away is going to be the 66 of Mullins. He had a slight advantage over Drabic coming down the front stretch, but that top line, the drive off of the corners is so much better. You get so much more speed down the straightaways. Drabic was able to get back ahead just before the line, and now he's going to slide down to that bottom line. He said no more of that.
I think tire conservation is going to be a little more important tonight than it would usually be at Homestead. I know we're running a bit of a colder track, but we've only got 18 drivers in the field tonight, and these races tend to go clean anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw 100 laps green or even only one caution. This is going to be a race of long runs, and I think you've got to really take care of those tires so that you have something left when we get to the end of those long runs. Some of these drivers who have really been pushing in the early part of this stint, like David Duke and Timothy Peters, come 30 laps from now, they might not have anything left in the tank compared to some of these guys like Jake Ham who have been hanging back a little more. So I'm really interested in seeing how these tire strategies play out and if Peters is able to hold on to the lead or even like a top 3 here towards around lap 50 or so.
Very interesting. Peters is putting down quite a faster pace here versus the other drivers. Peters, the only one running a 33.3 second lap time, and everybody behind at a 33.5 or greater, except for the 49 of Craig Bontrager and the 9 of Barrett Morton. They saw that 33.4 second range. Everybody directly in tow of Peters, not quite keeping the same pace. Look at this, Jake Ellingson back up on the scoreboard here into the 6th position, goes to 27. And you know, you talked about a season favorite or a race favorite. I think I'm going to have to go with Ellingson here just for showing up tonight, considering the circumstances. I'm baffled by it, but he said he's got a championship to come out here and win, and he wasn't going to let anything stand in his way.
Yeah, we've talked about the neck brace. I don't think we've mentioned that he broke his wrist as well. He's pretty much driving it with one arm tonight because of that, and he is still trying to fight. He's gone from about 11th up to 6th after that early slide, already challenging Levi McCarty to try to get himself back up to 5th. It's been a really good drive from him, even if he was perfectly healthy. Him tonight getting up 5 spots already is impressive.
We see that 27 take home a podium position here, Sky. I'm going to have to mark that one down as close to the flu game as possible. But just up ahead here, I think I saw the Mullins and Duke battle starting to heat up just a little bit. Yes, indeed. Duke was able to get to the inside of the 66 of Mullins. He's going to get back up into the top 3 position here, try to start challenging the 07 of Drabic once more. He's going to look to the inside. Drabic with a late block down to that bottom line. Barely enough room to get in front of the 78, but he got it complete and keeps Duke right in 3rd for one more lap at least.
I feel like this is not the first time this season that we have seen Levi McCarty just run the top while everybody else behind him and in front of him kind of runs the bottom here. He has been glued to that wall for at least 5 or so laps now while Peters, Drabic, Duke, and Mullins are all right on that white line on the bottom. I'm interested in seeing how that strategy works out for McCarty in the long run. He started on pole. He's fallen back to 5th. Right now, he thinks that high line is his best chance to get himself back up there.
Right now, it's kind of playing the opposite effect. As Duke's still to the inside of Drabic. McCarty is still up here on this top line. Neither one of these top line cars really making much momentum happen. As I say that, McCarty's going to get a big run down the backstretch, and now he's back to the back bumper of Jamie Mullins. Mullins takes it back down to the bottom. So does Drabic just ahead of Duke. McCarty content with staying up here on the top and nearly makes contact with the 66 coming up the track out of the corner. Side by side down the front stretch into turn 1. Who's it going to be coming out of turn number 2?
Yeah, we're side by side, 2 rows back right now. You've got Duke and Drabic going at it, and I think Duke is going to finally get clear ahead of that 07 car. And never mind, he got a little loose out of the corner. Drabic was able to fight back on that top line. Right behind him, you've got Mullins. He's side by side with Levi McCarty down the straightaway as well. Drabic had a better corner in the 78 this time, but David Duke slides in front, and now Drabic is going to try the crossover coming back down the front straightaway. It'll be the 07 on the inside down into 1.
Talk about threading the needle for the 07. That Jam Printing and Promotions creamsicle driven by Patrick Drabic. It's I promise it's the same length as all the other trucks. Nearly contact now between the 78 and 07. Able to keep it off of each other. Man, that was close.
It is a great battle between those two, and Jamie Mullins has gotten back clear on McCarty for now. He is trying to rejoin this fight as the third car in this battle. Duke is entering the corner a lot earlier than Drabic is. Drabic seems to be going for some kind of late blocks down to the inside, but it's working. It's giving him a better run off the corner. That's why he's been able to stay ahead of that 78.
And staying ahead, the 46 of Peters now almost out to 2.5 seconds over this entire group. What a pace coming out of Timothy Peters right now. We got 4 cars battling for essentially second place. We got another group of 3 or 4 just behind, waiting for any sort of mistake to be made, start working their way back into the battle. Here goes Ham to the top line, following McCarty. Duke all over the back bumper. It looked like he got the 07 a little loose there through the mid corner, maybe getting a little loose himself. Here comes McCarty on the inside, 3 wide. McCarty, 2 for 1 down the backstretch, gets ahead of Mullins and Duke. Now he's going to go under attack here of the 07.
That was a wild pass. I'm surprised he got both of those cars before he even got down into the corner. It's a huge, huge move from that 24. David Duke now threatening for 5th. He's already fallen back a couple spots here. Jamie Mullins is trying to get around him on the top, and now Jake Ham, winner of that 5 races this season, joining this fight for P2. McCarty, once again, another huge move down into turn 3 on back-to-back laps. He'll get clear of the 07 to Drabic. He'll slide job it up out of the corner. He's got P2 for now. Peters, you see there, 2.7 gone from this battle.
If you're the 46 and crew, you've got to be happy watching this battle happening so far behind. Each time these drivers switch places, that's completely, oh my goodness. Wow. I got close between Drabic and Duke again. Now Ham to the inside of Mullins. Duke goes down to the bottom. Drabic stuck on the outside. Mullins follows around the outside. McCarty finding some distance now over everybody else as they start to battle behind for third. Wow.
Oh, Jake Ham. He's sliding it up there.
07 up there. Comes right back down the track, nearly gets into the door. Craig Bontrager. Ham maybe showing problems early.
We haven't really talked about Craig Bontrager tonight at all. He's another one of the playoff cars that was one of the last cars into this round and is going to look to try and jump himself up a couple spots to get into that championship 4. Took it easy at the start of this run, but now he's got that car up in 6th. Looking at Jamie Mullins, who pushed the tires a lot earlier in this stint and is starting to fall off a little bit now. We're 3 wide, back for 4th. Drabic is going to prevail for now, but we're still side by side between Mullins and, oh, we've got a car in the inside wall. That is Tyler Justice.
Justice just got loose off of turn number 2, couldn't recover it. Man, oh man. That's our first caution of the night, a little over a quarter of the way through. Back here on the V-Speed Instant Replay. Taking a look here at the 33. I don't believe there's any contact made with anybody. But we'll find out here in just a second. Coming around there on that bottom line, and that back end just steps out. Oh, and a big, big hit to that inside wall. That's certainly a race ender for Tyler Justice.
Absolutely. We've seen a couple cars get loose out of 2 now tonight. A lot of them were able to save it. Tyler Justice, they're not quite so lucky. I think that's why you've seen a couple more cars run the top. That bottom line can get really loose on the long run. Tyler Justice shows that right now, and he is going to be out of the race tonight.
possibly some hardware malfunction there for the 33 with that onboard. See, that steering wheel went to the left. I thought the rear end stepped out, but I'm starting to think that the 33 had issues. Taking another look here, coming out of the corner, and then here goes the steering wheel. Just hard left instantly.
Yeah, you're right. That looks like maybe he had a hardware issue. That is interesting. Everybody is going to come into the pits now, get fresh tires on these cars here on lap 29.
Not a bad call. 4 sets to do it here tonight. You might as well burn one. A quarter of the way of the race has been completed. And the battle off pit road, who got it? It sure
like
looked like Peters got it, but McCarty's going out to the front.
In a replay?
McCarty had it by a bumper.
That's the advantage of having that first pit stall. If he pitted a couple spots back, he would not have gotten that. Having that first pit stall from starting on pole is what got him out ahead of Peters. Look at that.
I'll tell you what got him out ahead of Peters. Timothy Peters in the pit lane, a total time of 38.6 seconds. Levi McCarty beat him by a whole second, 37.6 for the 24 machine, and that will do it. Similar times in the box, but it's about the entire trip down the lane. While we have a moment, Sky, why don't we say thanks to one of our sponsors here? We'll say thanks to Lincoln Tech. Lincoln's mission is to provide superior education and training to our students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They are one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 23 campuses. They are the title sponsor of the Spring Series and a very large partner of Goat Locker Racing. That 27 of Jacob Ellingson supporting that Goat Locker scheme every single week. And again, I cannot get it through my head how he is here tonight. I think we've gotten an update in the chat here about a broken vertebrae and that confirmation on the wrist. It's rather impressive.
It is. He had a bit of a long pit stop, came in for 25 seconds, so that'll drop him down through the field. He'll come out back in 16th. He's going to have a long way to go to get some good points tonight.
The pace truck comes off this time. McCarty with the green flag in the air and a big jump from the bottom line. That's going to give him that access to the top line immediately as Patrick Dravick looks to take over second place away from Timothy Peters. Peters saw a 2.5, almost 3-second gap and now finds himself back in third. Dravick loose. Those 7 catching the apron there. He's going to fall back through the field now. He kept it straight, back up to speed, but looks like the 87 of Ham's going to have a little bit of an advantage here, but stuck on the outside. Patrick Dravick might be able to get back around. Doesn't look like it. He's going to have to slide in here between Ham and Barrett Morton.
We mentioned how low the track temperature is tonight, and I think that's certainly playing a role in some of the incidents we've seen at the beginning of these runs. You saw Dravick lose it there, Ellingson lose it on that first run. This track is really rough on cold tires, particularly when you exit the corner on the bottom. That's where we've seen both Ellingson and Dravick have issues tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that continue if we get any future restarts.
Cold tires, cold track. Certainly can put on for a show. Near contact towards the middle of the pack here. As the 85 of James Goshen got a little loose out of turn number 2, rather 4, nearly got into the side of the 37 of Seymour. You can see that battle for position. Brandon Wallace just ahead there in 10th. There's Ellingson already making his way back up towards the top 10 after restarting in 16th. On the outside goes the 27 machine. He's going to get right to the back bumper of the 37. To the inside he goes. Now down into turn number 1. This is going to put him right up on the back bumper of the 99 of Wallace.
Already +5 from where he restarted. We do have confirmation on Tyler Justice. his game froze. He couldn't see anything, and that was what sent him into the inside wall. So an unfortunate end to the race there for the 33 car. Right now, Ellingson is looking to try to get back up to the field. We'll see if he can get past Wallace for 10th here.
Battle heats up just ahead. Patrick Drabick trying to claw his way back up to the top. Looks to the inside now of Bontrager. Or apologize, of Mullins on the outside. Bontrager down on the bottom, looking to the inside of Jake Ham just ahead. Both of those drivers will have to slide back behind. I don't know, these the top line and the bottom line posting similar lap times here on the fresh tires. I don't think we're going to see too much movement at the moment. But if you take a look a little bit further back, Ellingson did finally get around the 99 of Wallace, just ahead of him. There goes Jamie Barkis around Barrett Morton. Ellingson all over the back bumper, the 9 now. Looks to the inside down the back straight. He's going to get there before turn 3.
This is a pretty good day for Bontrager and Mullins as Ellingson gets himself past Morton now to get back up to 9th. 49 to 66 are both at a bit of a points disadvantage compared to many other cars in this playoff fight, so they need good runs today to stay in it. Drabick now going to try to pass Mullins on the inside for P6. That 66 car being forced up to the top line, but he's got the run working pretty well up there. It'll hold him off, and now with Bontrager into the wall, Mullins has a chance to get into the top 5 as well. Big send down to the inside while Bontrager tries to run the middle to negate that 66's line off the corner. We'll stay side by side as we head to the start-finish line to take lap 38.
Kept him down low enough on the track to get back door to door right at the entry of turn 1. Bontrager still stuck up on the outside, though. Jake Ham ahead, still using that top line. We got a battle for the lead. Peters has finally caught back up to the 24 of McCarty. Now he's going to go back on attack. Peters goes down to the bottom. McCarty driving through the mirror. Take away that bottom line. Peters doesn't quite get the run that he needs. McCarty's going to get a little bit of a drive away, but these front straights and back straight is just long enough to get a little bit of a draft and close that gap back up ever so slightly. But these corners are going to be what Peters needs to focus on. McCarty doing a good job right now of finding a line with that clean air. Peters, really the first time that he's been in this position with some dirty air on the nose of the 46, but McCarty goes up high. Peters sticks to the low line. Nearly got to the bumper there. But again, that speed off the top, it's so much faster.
It is, and that 46 car is going for it. He wants to rebuild that lead. There's a really big gap between these two cars up front and David Duke in third, who is not a playoff car. I think he was the first or second car out when the playoffs started. But he's still here, and he still wants to get his first win of the season. Although if he wants to do that, he's going to need to get up to McCarty and Peters, who so far have seemed to have this race on lock. Lap 40, and they're 1.4 ahead of that 78.
David Duke running that third position, able to keep the 66 of Mullins at bay. Right now, all eyes are on the lead here for a potential new playoff winner. This is the only one in the race right now. Patrick Drabick finds himself in 7th place with a ways to go before he can challenge for this. McCarty and Peters both looking to lock into that championship race. I don't know. I think McCarty might have been sandbagging a little bit to start this one out. He's showing a whole lot faster lap times now.
He's got a lot of speed in that car. I think clean air definitely doing him some favors up front here. He's learned how to push these tires from running a little bit further back in the pack, and after getting the lead on that last pit cycle has showed that he can really hold it up there. He is running the top. We're not seeing some of these cars in 3rd or 4th, Duke or Mullins, run the top. They're all right on the bottom. Kind of on his own program up here, but it's working pretty well, and Peters is running a little further up the track in 3 and 4, trying to replicate it.
I think it's really going to come down to the ability to save tires here right now, as there's a battle further back in the pack starting to form up, it looked like, around that 6th position. I believe Drabic was to the inside there of Bontrager. Now he's going to look to the outside through 3 and 4, try to get this drive off of the corner, get back side by side. Might go for that undercut here. And not quite close enough to do it. And Bontrager commits to the bottom. That's going to force Patrick Drabic back to the outside.
Drabic's going to need to move up through the field here if he wants to keep his point situation to the good. I think the only playoff drivers he's really ahead of here are going to be Jake Ellingson in that 27 car. He's struggling this race. And Jeremy Gardner, who's not in this race, so he's also going to have some problems. But Drabic needs to get himself up to the field. He'll get around Bontrager there, but he's going to slide it up a little bit off the corner, and that's going to let Bontrager try to get right back to the inside of that 07 car. He'll pull it out to try to get the run into the corner. The 07's got the top, though, and he seems to be making it work pretty well. We'll see if he can get around that 49 car, and then also Jake Ham back here, who's in the wall.
And with a little bit of contact with the wall there, you saw Drabic bring it back down the track to try to avoid any situation that could arise. Now Drabic to the inside. Ham brings it down the track, running that middle line instead of the top. It's going to shut the door on Drabic from getting the full exit speed that he needs, but he's there at the bumper. A little bit of side draft coming down the front. To the inside goes the 07. Can Drabic make his way back into the top 5 here? Not enough just yet, as Jake Ham will be able to get back ahead. Here comes that 49 of Bontrager one more time. He's going to look to the inside now again. Oh, look at that. The 15. Jamie Barkas right now. He's up into 8th, looking to take away a couple positions here as well. Following him is the 27 of Jake Ellingson. So this whole pack starting to catch back up as Drabic, Ham, Bontrager, all 3 of those drivers battling for position. Ooh, a little bit sideways action here as we're on board with the 15 of Barkas. On the outside of Bontrager with the advantage down the backstretch, but not enough to challenge Drabic.
Jamie Barkas is our biggest mover tonight from 13th up to 8th. And now, if he can get around Craig Bontrager in the 49, he'll be looking for 7th. But he is pretty loose up there on the top. I think he's starting to struggle with those tires. I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at the in-car, Bontrager's doing something pretty similar on the bottom with how far he's been diving it off into all these corners. These are 2 drivers that have really been pushing. I think Bontrager's probably been pushing a little more, but we've seen how loose Barkas is and how much he's having to work the wheel there coming out of the corner. I think a lot of these cars in this area of the pack are probably feeling something pretty similar.
The dirty air playing a big factor here, as well as the lap count. Now about 20 laps completed on the new set of tires, which is where we saw some of the action start to happen in that first stint. A little bit more sideways here once we get some heat in the tires, nearly 3 wide. Man, Barkas, Drabic, Bontrager, none of them willing to give it up here. The 07 was able to extend that lead just a touch. It's still side by side for the 15 and the 49. Bontrager gets a little bit better of a run off the bottom. He's going to slide up in front of Jamie Barkas.
Looking a little further up now is the 46 of Peters, who's really starting to fall off. He is under threat from the 78 car of David Duke. Looking there on the inside, Duke looking to crash the playoff party with his first win of the season as we hit the halfway point of this race. 78 looking right down to the inside. Peters has been trying to run a little bit higher, anywhere from that middle lane to the very top. Right now he's in the middle, and I think that's to take the 78's run away, as Duke has closed up in a hurry to try to get around that 46 car.
They both need to close back up to the 24 of McCarty, who's extended that lead to 1.2 seconds, and it's growing every single lap that we go around. 46 and the 78 battling down the backstretch here. David Duke to the inside. Peters a little bit of an advantage, able to drive it in just a touch deeper here. Duke on the gas a little bit sooner. They're going to be side by side out of turn 4. It's a drag race down the front stretch. Peters with the advantage this time, halfway through the race.
Peters in dirty air has not been as good as he was on that first run, and now the 78 of David Duke will get clear of that 46 car. He's got himself up in second. Going to take a quick look at the lap times here. He was slightly faster than Levi McCarty that time around, even trying to make this pass. Now that David Duke's got a little bit of clean air in front of him, 1.3 second gap. We'll see if he's able to cut that down to under a second on Levi McCarty here coming up, or if he's kind of stuck in no man's land back with TJ Peters.
Well, Duke has found a new pace here as well as McCarty. I could see that 78 finding his way back up to the back bumper of the 24, challenging for that lead. I really think it's going to come down to whoever can save the tires the longest, with the fuel cell being at 100% capacity here tonight. It puts into play the potential of a fuel-saving race as well. So a lot of different strategies could play out in somebody's favor here tonight. But right now, with Patrick Drabick all the way back to 9th now, battling to stay in the top 10, really, I think we're most certain to see a new playoff winner.
We might not see a new playoff winner. We might just see a new winner in general, because David Duke was a 1/10 of a second faster than McCarty last time around. He had that gap down under a second for a little bit. It's gone back up after a bad corner from Duke, but he's got a lot of speed in that 78 car. This is a driver who was so close to making the playoffs. He had a late season charge at Dover and Nashville to try to get himself in, but it wasn't quite enough. He still wants that win, though. He's still hungry to find victory lane, something he didn't do last season, something he did do once last season. He got it at Iowa, but something he hasn't done at all this season. He is really looking good right now. Fastest car on the racetrack, trying to close that gap to the 24 car.
Well, Sky, we've got a little bit of a spread out field here. We've talked about saving tires. How about we talk about SAVE22? SAVE22 is a 501c3 organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Our unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars: shield, assist, volunteer, and educate, otherwise known as SAVE. Of course, the title sponsor here of our Friday night, SAVE22, another big part of the Goat Locker racing community. But now we've got some battling back here, right at the back half of the top 10. There's James Goshen with the driver cam here tonight, trying to catch back up to that 10th position of Barrett Morton, who's staying kind of right on the back bumper of the 07. Some contact with the wall for Goshen. Slides up the track a little bit. You see Morton loose ahead. So these tires really starting to fade here later in this run. About 30 laps completed now. Look at that. There's Chuck Pegleg Feltz with the onboard camera.
This is a tight battle back here between Feltz, Wallace, Browning, and then Michael Seymour's up there in front of him. A lot of cars racing really tight here for every position, even at the back of the field. We're side by side right now. That's Feltz up the inside of Brandon Wallace in the 99, and then Seymour has gotten in the fence, which is going to allow Browning to get around him in the 4. And now Feltz might have a shot at that 37 car because he doesn't have a great run out of the corner. Chuck Feltz is going to get down to the inside there. Not quite side by side with that 37, but he's closing the gap for sure.
There he goes, bumper to bumper here down the front stretch. I think it's this time by. If Feltz can get a good drive off of turn 2, he should be able to get clear of the 37. Put Seymour under attack from Brandon Wallace, but Seymour got a really good run on the outside that time. He's going to get well clear of the 75 down the back stretch.
Duke is still closing that gap up front, and he's gotten it down to about 3/4 of a second now by consistently running faster lap times than Levi McCarty. 0.02 of a second faster last time around. Doesn't seem like much, but that really adds up over the course of a run, and now it's down to about 0.5 second for that 78 car compared to the 24. There's a couple cars further back that are starting to make some moves too. Bontrager's got a lot of speed. He's one of the faster cars on track right now, coming up around Jamie Mullins in the 66. He'll try to get himself to 4th. great points day for a driver that really needs it in Craig Bontrager.
These two drivers switching positions back and forth for the last couple of laps here. It's been Bontrager on the bottom, Mullins up on that high line. This is the opportunity that Bontrager needs. A little bit of a bobble there on the bottom, but he does get up ahead of the 66 of Mullins. Mullins looking to take a peek to the inside.
Caution.
And caution's out. Barrett Morton's around.
Piece of his bumper went flying there, so he must have hit something pretty hard in that 9 car. Get a replay there and see what happened.
Side by side with James Goshen. This is around the 10th position here. Goshen gets into the wall just ahead, and Morton tries to get down to the bottom, just gets sideways right in front of the 4 of Browning. Might have been able to save it if Browning hadn't been there.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty big hit there. Certainly some damage for that 9 car. Yeah, nowhere Browning could have gone there. He couldn't really do anything about that. Car just came across the track onto him, and this is going to set up a caution and a round of pit stops with 37 to go. It's going to be all out to the end of the race here.
I tell you what, Sky, this is what Peters needed right here. Getting back up to the leader, McCarty. David Duke as well. Now that half-second or better gap that Duke was closing, he's going to be starting side by side with McCarty if he can get off of pit road. Everybody brings it back down here. Good possibility of this being the last pit stop of the race. Everybody makes it to their box. There's the 07 to Drabick.
Remember what we saw last time where McCarty got the first position off pit road because he had that first pit stall. Watch for that again. He gets the best exit, and he gets the best exit again. He'll get out back in the lead ahead of Peters, who has jumped David Duke for second. Bontrager, who seems to have a really good long-run car, comes out fourth.
You know, it played in favor for McCarty last time of that pit stall position. This time it plays in favor of Peters. Using that third stall right off the exit, David Duke was all the way back in the 7th stall. That's going to be your separation there, where Peters got the advantage off of pit road. But overall, Levi McCarty, he started this race in the number 1 position, finds himself on this restart back where he was. And once more with Jake Ellingson here in that Lincoln Tech number 27. Again, just, I don't know what to say other than incredible. Like, the perseverance that we're seeing out of Jake Ellingson here tonight, you know, he certainly has to be under an extreme amount of pain.
Yeah, he's been great. Speaking of great, let's give a shout out to another one of our Goat Locker Racing partners, Jam Printing and Promotions. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. They're local and they're veteran certified, and when they do well, they do good in the community. If you've seen any Goat Locker Racing hoodies on any of those drivers, that's all Jam Printing and Promotions right there. Their driver, Patrick Drabick, coming into this race pretty good, but he's run about 7th or 8th for most of the night. Gonna need a better night to move himself up the standings.
Certainly needs the assistance. The 07 currently sitting in 7th. But he did start this race out in 2nd. So he knows where to find the speed. I think the dirty air just being the biggest factor at play for Patrick Drabick here. Looks like the 9 of Barrett Morton was able to get some repairs completed. He's catching back up to the pack here. Pace truck lights are out. He's going to make that exit, drive right through the wall. But into the InVets restart zone we go. Levi McCarty takes the green flag one more time here at Homestead.
It's another
Not
really
as big
good
of a jump as we've seen him too, though.
Yeah, he got right back up to that outside, was able to clear that 78 car. Duke gets clear of Peters for now, but the 46 is going to fight back, and we've got
sideways.
Mullins around in the middle of the field. He will save it, but he was having a great race, and that is going to majorly hurt his chances of advancing to the next round, because he's going to slide all the way back to 14th.
And that paint scheme threw me off. I thought it was the 49 of Bontrager. But man, look at this. Completely sideways right in front of everybody and no contact made with any other truck. Mullins has had speed here tonight, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that 66 work its way back up into the top 10, maybe even the top 5 here. It's all going on at the lead. Levi McCarty still holding it. David Duke falls to the bottom. Peters trying to work the outside.
Yeah, here comes David Duke. The gloves are off now because it's going to be a 34-lap shootout to the finish. Duke, we saw him come on a lot in the long run. McCarty burned his tires up early, and David Duke was able to capitalize. He doesn't have that 40-lap long run to make it work this time. He's got to go in a much smaller number of laps, and he's doing it right now, pushing this car on the short run to try to get around McCarty. McCarty, for his part, has adjusted his line. Instead of running the top like we saw so much on that last stint, he's back down on the bottom, trying to block and hold off that 78 car. Not working for now, though, because on lap 68, we'll go side by side down into turn 1.
Side by side and nearly 3 wide as Timothy Peters is going to take a look to the middle, just not enough speed to get there. David Duke with the advantage on the bottom, door to door on the exit. McCarty's got the speed. Back to the top goes the 24, the 78 of Duke. Back to the bottom. Peters follows suit. McCarty sees both of them go to that bottom line, shoots it right down there to the apron. Kind of going for that diamond shape. And here's a battle behind between Jake Ham and Bontrager and Ham. Duke gets side by side once more. Peters just trying to find a way to get around. Stuck out in third.
Duke is really, really going for it on that inside lane, but McCarty has done such a great job to defend. He'll cut back to the inside, give David Duke some dirty air there, and he's really going to have to get a run out of the corner. But McCarty is doing a better job of getting up to the wall, too, and that's really hurting the 78's car ability to make time out of these turns. We're going to look 3 wide down here into 1. Peters can't make it happen, though. McCarty all the way up on the wall like he's been for so much of this race to make time. And even though Duke's got it for a little out of the corner, the 24 will prevail again down the straightaway. McCarty back to the top, working into 3, and I think he's going to get a much better run out this time.
A lot better side by side here, but still that top line just carries so much speed. McCarty's able to get back ahead right at the line, but here we are, 3 wide. Peters is finally there. Can he carry the speed to keep it 3 wide on exit? No, he's going to fall in behind the 24 now. Man, he cannot just... There's got to be a gap somewhere. Peters trying to find it, and it just closes every single time on the 46. McCarty goes back to the bottom, blocks the 78 of Duke. But Duke thinks nothing of it. Back door to door here. This is the closest he's been in quite a while in turn 1, side by side with the 24. Let's see how he can do on the exit this time.
46 of Peters tries to find the gap again, but he just slides up and he doesn't have the speed out of the corner. Duke looked like he was in the clear there for a second, but McCarty comes right back to the point, exiting turn 2, and he'll chop right across the nose of the 78 car to hold the lead through 3 and 4. This battle is anything but over, and you gotta wonder if these cars are gonna keep going at it for the next 10 laps and burning off their tires. Will that open the door for Jake Ham to try to lock himself into the next round, or even Jake Ellingson, who's gotten back up there in 5th, racing with Bontrager?
That was one thing I was about to bring up there, Sky, was how hard Peters is trying to drive this truck right now to get into this battle for the lead. I think he would be the one most at risk of not having tires to finish out this race. But it's a 3-car battle for the lead, and it's a 3-car battle for 4th. Ham, Ellingson, Bontrager all right behind. It looks like almost identical battles happening.
Duke's clear. He might try to slide it up here. Slide job, David Duke, he's got it, but the 24 switches back. Contact to the left rear of the 78 car. David Duke still holds the lead down into 3 and 4. Doesn't have a win this season, not in the playoffs, but he's going to play spoiler to everybody if he can hold on for 26 more laps.
And that was quite the reaction there for David Duke, keeping that 78 completely straight down the backstretch. He's got the advantage here. He'll be able to slide up in front of the 24 one more time, but McCarty's going to be close again. Duke elects to keep it off the wall. McCarty's going to get the drive around the outside. Back to the top goes the 24. The 78 still going for that bottom line. Peters still looking for that gap to open up. Follows Duke down to the bottom, but tries to slide it up to the top. Not all the way to the wall that he could use. Here he is back to the back bumper now of Duke. McCarty with a big advantage here into one.
Man, if I was Peters, I think you kind of just got to chill it out right now. He's been putting so much tire into trying to get into this battle for the lead, and it hasn't really gone anywhere. He seems like he's driving just as much, if not even harder than these top two. He's got nothing to show for it, and he's still got to run 24 more laps on this set of tires down to the end of the race. Levi McCarty's finally gotten a bit of a lead here, stretching up to 0.3 of a second over David Duke. We'll see if Peters is able to challenge for second to get around that 78 car, if he'll just still stay stuck in third.
Right now, looks like the 24 a little slow there on the bottom. Duke is going to close that gap, but McCarty able to put some speed down the back stretch. Duke back to the inside here. I think the smart move for Peters right now is just to hang on as close as you can. Try to save your tires. Let these two get side by side and battle it out for a couple laps. So David Duke doesn't quite get the drive off the bottom there. 0.2 of a second down the front stretch for the 24. And it's going to look about the same here down the back stretch now. That three-car battle behind between Ham, Ellingson, and Bontrager has settled out for the time being as well. Ham got the fourth position. Ellingson up into the top five. Bontrager just on the outside looking in. Patrick Dravik still running in the seventh position. You can see that gap off of the back bumper of the 49. It's about 1.3 seconds or so, roughly, for the 07 to catch back up.
I've been looking at the lap times here over the last few laps, and Jake Ham is slowly but surely starting to bring himself back up into this fight. He didn't have a great lap last time around, was slower than both Bontrager and McCarty, but consistently he's been running pretty good laps, and I think he's certainly faster than Peters right now, and probably David Duke as well. So Jake Ham is slowly bringing that 87 car up to the podium here. He hasn't really been in the top three at all this race, but he's got a shot to steal a podium here at the last second.
Well, we know that 87 is strong with the long run pace. He's got a battle just behind him as Bontrager's all over the back bumper of Jacob Ellingson. He's going to stay behind. He's going to look back to the inside here through 3 and 4. Ellingson gets down there eventually. But no real challenge coming from the back bumper now. And our top 6 are pretty well spread out.
Yeah, gaps are starting to form. The closest battle is still that one for the lead. David Duke, he hasn't really fallen off at all, even though he's not challenging McCarty lap after lap like he was about 10 laps ago. He's staying consistent. Hasn't fallen back behind about 0.3 of a second. TJ Peters has started to really fall off this fight, but David Duke has been consistent. He's been steady, and he's still there when it matters the most.
Oh, with a slight break in the action, Sky, what do you say we give our Warrior Spotlight a shout-out here? That's going to be Skylar Daly this time. Skylar's an active duty sailor currently serving aboard the USS Philippine Sea. He has made multiple deployments from both the West and the East Coast, most recently to the Red Sea, providing critical assistance to merchant vessels after attacks by the Houthi forces. We are proud to have Skylar as a part of the Goat Locker Racing family, and man, I have to say, Skylar is pumping out some fantastic paint schemes for that upcoming 87 series. Really hoping to see a lot of those on the track coming from Skylar Daly.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this battle for the lead here, too, because David Duke has closed right back up to that 24 car. He had the inside there in 1 and 2. He'll have it again in 3 and 4. McCarty couldn't pull away, and David Duke is still there. Looking on the inside, he'll get a little bit out in front, looking off 4, but McCarty has the run. He'll get it back. He'll get clear as we cross the start-finish line.
This guy, I have to say, oh my goodness, McCarty cuts the nose off the 78 that time. After I was about to say, this high line right now seems like it's the place to be. McCarty risking it all to keep the 78 at bay, nearly ending his race with a self-clearing incident. That backs the Duke machine off by about a quarter of a second.
David Duke is really trying to steal a win away from these playoff cars, and McCarty is in the wall going into one. That might open the door for another send from David Duke. Once again, peeking into the lead down the straightaway, but he can't slide up. He's not clear yet, and McCarty is going to be able to fight back down the straightaway. TJ Peters is starting to close a little bit. He's back down to about 0.4 of a second. Here comes Jake Ham. Here comes Craig Bontrager. We got 5 cars that could win this race with 15 to go.
It's boiling down to a close battle. You can't take the 27 of Ellingson out of the equation as well. He's right there at the top of the screen. A little bit of sense of urgency now coming from the 46 team as he's up into the wall right ahead of Jake Ham. It's going to be 3 wide here for the 3rd place position. Bontrager on the inside, Ham in the middle. It's a Ham sandwich with Peters on the outside.
And we were side by side for the lead, too. Duke got it for a second. McCarty's taking it back, and now Duke's going to try to get it again as we battle for 3rd, and we're still 3 wide out of the corner. That solved absolutely nothing. It is still Bontrager on the inside, Ham in the middle, and that is going to be Peters on the top. We're side by side for the lead. We're 3 wide for 3rd. It just keeps going. Bontrager's going to try to slide up in front of Peters. Ooh. He'll get there. Peters crosses back over. Meanwhile, Duke is crossing back over for the lead.
Ham got loose there out of turn number 2. That gave Bontrager the advantage. Now Peters was able to get around Bontrager there into turn number 3, side by side for the lead. In 3rd place still. Bontrager on the outside, McCarty on the outside, Duke on the inside. Peters nearly contact there with the 49. Man, oh man, we're inside 15 to go. And what I tell you, Sky, at the beginning of this broadcast, this is going to be some of the best racing we've seen all season. And it's coming down here to the very end.
And some of the best. This is the best. David Duke is still trying to hold off McCarty. We've been going at it for about 20 laps now, and we're in the exact same place we were when we started. The 78's gotten clear, but the 24 loves that top line. He's going to try to go right back up there again. Meanwhile, Craig Bontrager's got that gap down under 0.4 of a second. That is a playoff car who hasn't won a race. He's looking to steal a spot in the championship 4 if he can get himself up and win tonight.
Duke trying to show that he should have been here. McCarty, Bontrager trying to lock their way in. Ham and Peters, they're close as well. Bontrager, though, finding the pace that he needs here to close out this race with that separation now from that battle for 3rd. Rick Bontrager's looking to take advantage here between one of these 2 drivers making even the slightest bit of a mistake.
And fastest car on track last time around was the 49 of Craig Bontrager. He is there. McCarty's going to get the lead back on the top from David Duke, but Bontrager has gotten right back to the behind of that 78 car. He's going to send it off down on the inside. We're seeing this battle from his onboard, and now David Duke doesn't just have to worry about passing McCarty in front. He's got to worry about holding off this 49 car behind.
Both of them do at this point. Bontrager's there. He's inserted himself into this battle here as we are 10 to go, Sky. There's not much more time left to settle out. Who's going to be our first driver into the championship race? McCarty, Duke, Bontrager all battling for the lead. McCarty and Bontrager, the only 2 that can make it out of the 3. Ham, he's got time to catch back up. Ellingson's made a charge all the way back from 16th on one of the last restarts. Peters has fallen back to the 6th position here. Jamie Barkas up to 7th. And one of our playoff winners, Patrick Dravick, still finds himself in the back half of the top 10, running 8th.
Man, we're setting up for a photo finish here tonight with 9 to go. Duke and McCarty, same position they've been in for about 10 laps now, with Duke trying his best to get the run on the inside while McCarty is content to run the fence. nearly scraping it with how much he's running up there. Bontrager now in the position that TJ Peters was in about 25 laps ago, where he's going to do anything he can to try to throw himself into this fight, get past 2 cars to the lead. Jake Ham starting to close in as well, winner of 5 races this season, favorite coming into the playoffs, and he's going to look to get another one here tonight. Or my bad, Jake Ham has won 4 races this season. He's going to look to get his 5th here tonight.
Went from a season of having so many different winners last year. Now we've got multiple repeat winners. Jake Ham with the most of them on the regular season. Still looking to pick up a playoff win here. Side by side ahead. Duke still on the inside. McCarty with the drive on the outside. Duke's going to have to find something different here if he wants to get around the 24 or hope that McCarty makes a mistake, as McCarty's into the wall once more. Duke's going to get a drive on the bottom here. Will he be able to get up ahead? No. Oh, he does. Barely. Bontrager looks to take the inside line as well.
There's that mistake he needed. Just a little hit to the wall is all it's going to take for David Duke to get the lead. Can Bontrager get up to second here? He needs to find the lane to get around these cars. He's not clear of the 24, but Duke is. Jake Ham's in the wall back there trying to push his way up to third. And now Bontrager is going to look for P2. Duke is looking to play spoiler. Bontrager is looking to go from, I think he was like second last into this round of the playoffs. He's looking to get straight into the final here. This would be an upset if Duke or Bontrager gets it done tonight. What a race this has been. We're coming around to 5 to go, and David Duke is your leader, but we're almost 3 wide behind him.
Jake Ham looking to do it again here. That gap to the middle closes up. He stays behind the 49, but still right there at that right rear. You can see that decal on the bumper. You don't want to touch it right there. As Levi McCarty back up into the wall. This is going to give that opportunity here to see another 3-wide battle, but not enough for the 87. Man. Oh, he's going to get to the outside of Bontrager now. Bontrager at risk of falling out of the top 3.
Jake Ham with a late race charge here as we approach 4 to go. He's trying to get around that 49 car for the podium. Jake Ham, title favorite, looking to get himself up into the top 3 for what feels like the first time all night, as McCarty tries to close into Duke, but David Duke just has it going, and McCarty is in the fence yet again. That will slow up Jake Ham behind, and it'll give new life to Bontrager in the 49, but most importantly, that is going to give a 0.3 of a second lead to David Duke, who is loving what he's seeing behind him, because as these cars go 3 wide off into 3, David Duke is getting away for the win of the race.
Ham gets loose off corner exit. Bontrager's going to get right between the 87 and the 24. He's back to that podium spot here. If you're David Duke, though, you love to see this battle behind, but you have to be worried about that yellow flag. That's the last thing that you want to see as McCarty gets loose. Contact with the 87 on that left rear. Both of them keep it straight. It's a drag race down the back.
Hey, that was almost the yellow flag you were talking about right there, because we almost sent McCarty around off the nose of Ham. That car is used up. He gave it everything he had, but he's starting to slide back outside the podium now as we take 2 to go. It is going to be Duke and Bontrager for the win of this race. That 49 car has had the long run speed all night, and you're seeing it right now. He is going to need a hero lap, though, if he wants to catch up to the 78. He was faster last time around. He might be too little too late. I think if he had 10 more laps, he could mount a great charge, but he doesn't have 10 more laps, because coming out of turn 4, David Duke is going to take the white flag on what might be his first win of the season.
Can Bontrager catch back up? But that 0.3 of a second lead for David Duke looks to be exactly what he needs. With the white flag in the air, everything is official. David Duke looking to make his first win here of Season 9. 2 more corners to do it, and 0.4 of a second gap here. As Ham trying to catch back up to Craig Bontrager to take away the second spot. Looks to the outside here for the 87, but it's David Duke coming out of turn number 4. The fist in the air. The checkered flag is waved, and Duke takes home his first win here of Season 9.
Man, what a drive for him. He might not be in the playoffs, but he's going to celebrate just as hard as any of the playoffs drivers would. He's been close a couple times this year. He almost snuck himself into the playoffs at the end with a win. It's going to be so good for him to finally get it done.
The above the yellow line media number 78 gets it done here at Homestead, Miami. David Duke with 12 laps led, the most important one, sealing the fate of some of these playoff drivers. A couple of them are now going to be in a must-win situation as well as Jeremy Gardner. There's the celebration burnout for Bennett here, and the fist pumps coming from David Duke himself. Of course, a great celebration always here. Plenty of room to do so on the front stretch here at Homestead. Let's throw up that QR code one more time here. Goat Locker needs your help. Just scan that QR code or text Goat Locker to 79848. Helps control some of the metrics here. See what kind of engagement the Goat Locker racing community has. That helps them get those grants here to keep this thing rolling season after season. Again, that's just scanning the QR code or texting Goat Locker to 79848. Let's take it to a quick commercial break here. We'll be right back with our post-race results and interviews with our top 3 finishers.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
What a race we had here, back live at Homestead, and it was a fantastic finish. Only 2 cautions on the night, 9 lead changes. David Duke taking the last one here. Takes the 78 from 7th all the way to the top step of the podium. Craig Bontrager almost got it done here, coming from 10th up to the 2nd place spot to finish out for the 49. Jake Ham, he had a night where he was kind of bounced all around the field, saw the 87 in the middle of the pack, and finds his way back up to the front here to take home that last podium position. Levi McCarty started this thing at the front of the field, held quite a bit of pace there to keep that 24 in the lead in the back half of the race after that first caution, but ultimately falls back to the 4th place position. Jacob Ellingson, considering all the circumstances here tonight, started out in 9th. 5th place finish is going to be a great points day for the 27, and just ultimately a good feeling, even though he does have a neck brace. What a drive from Jacob Ellingson. Timothy Peters finds his way from 3rd to 6th, not the 9th that the 46 wanted to have, but Jamie Barkas does the opposite. 13th to 7th for the 15 machine. Mike Browning follows suit as well, 14th to 8th for the 4. Patrick Dravick started out on the front row, finds himself barely inside the top 10 here. The 07 finishes out in 9th, and last but not least, it's the 85 of James Goshen up 2 positions.
Coming back outside of the top 10 tonight, 11th is going to be Brandon Wallace in the 99, finishing right where he started. Stephen McDonald, 12th in the 68. Jamie Mullins had a good race going early, but after that big slide, goes back to 13th. Michael Seymour is going to finish 14th tonight in the 37. Matt Knight's 15th in the 64. Last car in the lead lap. One lap down will be Barrett Morton in the 9 and 16th. Chuck Feltz 11 down in the 75 and 17th. And out of the race with technical issues will be Tyler Justice in the 33.
Unfortunate night for Justice, but ultimately, what a smart play there. We got word from race control that the simulator had froze up on him, but had the right mind to pull that wheel to the left and keep it out of everybody else's way, allowing all the other cars to get by without any issues. Let's get right into our interview here with our race winner, David Duke, finally picking up a win here in Season 9. You took home the win last season at Iowa. We haven't seen you up here for an interview for the number 1 spot in quite a while. David Duke, how's it feel to be back?
Man, it feels fantastic, boys. It feels fantastic. Good to hear your voices.
Likewise, my friend. And what a drive you had. Battles all the way from about lap 80 to the very end. What was going through your mind in those closing laps?
Man, it like you said, it was a battle, dude. That was, I was commenting down there in the waiting room to Craig and Jake. That was some of the most fun I've had on iRacing in a long time, man. That battle with Levi was absolutely incredible. I finally got clear of him, where I could get up in front of him, and I had him kind of boxed in with Bontrager. He was behind us, so I knew once I got clear, he couldn't cross me over because he was going to be boxed in, and I finally got clear enough where I could slide up in front of him, and was able to kind of put some gap there. But man, what a hell of a battle that was.
It most certainly was. And what do you think was your rising factor here for the 78 to get around? Was it tires, or was it what was?
Patience, and tires. I knew if I could just stay on the low line and be true to my strategy and my form, I knew I'd be all right. And finally it just paid off, man. Just patience.
Well, patience was absolutely, a virtue here tonight for everybody. The track temperature stayed down all night long. Those tires didn't seem to fall off nearly as hard. But David Duke, you're able to come away with it, although outside of the playoff contention, putting the rest of these drivers on notice that you could have been here and you could have made it to this championship 4 with the race win here tonight.
Yeah, man, I've struggled all year in this series. I've had a tough time finding the balance on the truck. I don't know. I just struggled. I've struggled, but man, it all kind of came together tonight, man. It was fun.
Well, David, hate to cut the time short, but is there anybody that you'd like to say thanks to for putting that Above the Yellow Line Media 78 on the top step here tonight in the Homestead?
There you go, Miss Taylor and Above the Yellow Line Media. Everything she does helping me out, and everything she's doing for the media crew. Lincoln Tech, SAVE22, Operation Valor, Jam Printing and Promotions for the sponsoring the Pole Award. McConey Setup Shop, you guys at V Speed. Indiana Department of Affairs, guys. If you have a minute, text, what was it, 9479488, right? Nope, it
798.
79848. Text Goat Locker and get us some mentions. We're up for a recertification of our 501c3 for some funding, so we need you guys to just text that. No monetary obligations. Just text that number. Text Goat Locker to that number, and it'll help us out to get the notice that we need. Alexander SimPs, Next Level. Alexander PCs, SimMotion, Next Level Racing, iRacing, and again Above the Yellow Line. Keith says yes. Power Bolt and Tool, everybody over at Yes Car that helps me and helps growing that stuff over there. But appreciate everything you guys do. I'll get off here and quit talking your ears off.
You're all good, David Duke. Congratulations on the win, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, fellas.
That'll lead us right into our second place interview, where Sky Shrek is standing by with Craig Bontrager in the 49.
Hey, Craig, you had a copy?
Sure do. Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. You got P2 tonight, so I think you're doing pretty good, too. You seem to really come alive in that long run, so tell me how you kept those tires alive to push at the finish.
Oh, for sure. Well, after Charlotte last week, I studied Jeremy Gardner, took a page out of his book. Last green flag run last week, he came out, running a few tenths slower than what I knew he was capable of, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna practice for Homestead and find a consistent pace that'll be good on the long run, and found it and was executing, and I thought I had a good shot at our first GLR win here. We haven't won in the series yet, so but still thrilled with the run. I mean, it paid off. We did what we came to do, and pretty happy with it.
Yeah, you were pushing really hard with about 10 to go there. Anything you think you could have done differently to beat David Duke tonight?
Honestly, if we just would have not pushed and kept riding, staying the course, I think I would have been a little better off. There was a couple laps there in a row that I heated up my tires in the bottom of 1 and 2, and it really hurt. And then I started pushing the right front too hard to try to make up for it, and used my tire saving up right at the end when I needed it. So, more patience, right?
All right, well, you came into with a bit of a deficit in the championship standings, but the P2 is certainly going to help. How does this set you up heading into next week in Martinsville?
Yeah, I mean, Martinsville's got, definitely a wild card element, right? I love short track racing. I love being hard on the binders. So I'm looking forward to that racetrack, but this definitely gives the cushion that we need for those variables that, are going to come from bumpers and inevitably, right?
All right, well, anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
For sure. I want to thank friends, family, fans, and my spotter, Nate Fox, for doing this with me, keeping my head in the game. Want to thank Jam Printing and Promotions for sure. SAVE22, all the amazing things that they do. Thanks for sponsoring the series. V-Speed, you guys do an excellent broadcast. And Alexander PCs, don't forget to mention GLR when you buy that sweet new rig from them. That's it.
All right, well, congrats on P2 tonight, Craig Bontrager.
Thanks, guys.
And sneaking into the top 3 at the last minute, Logan has caught up with our 3rd place finisher, Jake Ham.
We've got Jake Ham down here, the driver of the 87. Started out here in 6th. Never did see the lead, but you were able to work your way back up into the top 3 position here. Jake Ham, what more did you need to get back up to that number 1 spot as you came into the playoffs, kind of the playoff favorite with 4 wins on the regular season?
Yeah, just at the end there, I just didn't have it. I, during the course of the race, learned, the tire wear, fell off there significantly at the end of the longer runs. And I was just having a heck of a time keeping up with them. And then once we were able to get, back up there as a group, I think we had like 4 or 5 of us there. Just McCarty got in the wall a couple times, kind of put me in a really tough position there, and burned up my tires being 3 wide there for a little bit, trying not to run into anybody. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it just didn't play out well. But I felt like I was making a really good run there at the very end for the lead until we got 3 wide there a couple times, and that kind of slowed me up a little bit.
Well, I think you'll enjoy this one if you go back. You'll catch a nice reference to Ham Sandwich, where you were stuck in the middle of that 3 wide for quite a while. And, well, I've got to ask, what seemed to be the most dominant line out here tonight? We saw the top line had a whole lot of speed, but that bottom line, how much did that play in to tire saving for you? Was it worth the trade-off for the more speed off the corner, or was it worth it to stay on the bottom?
Yeah, great question. So I think the first 2 runs that we had there, I pretty much for the most part was trying to run mid to high in 3 and 4. And there towards the last run, I was able to figure it out that if you went in pretty hot, hold up you braked a little bit, and were able to dive down and drive a little bit more straight out, that you're able to get a little bit more straight line speed like you would carry out a 1 and 2, which was really weird running that line. It was more of a diamond, I felt like. And but 1 and 2 definitely was my cup of tea there. It's kind of like Larson style, right up against the wall. You're able to carry so much speed and get the people that are on the inside of you to burn up their tires, as they're trying to pass you, which then has them fall back a little bit quicker. So that was my whole goal. It worked out really well. I wasn't able to figure out 3 and 4 there soon enough. So lesson learned for next time, hopefully.
Maybe just a few more laps to play into your favor there. But Jake Ham, congratulations on P3. We've got 1 more race to settle our championship for. Is there anybody that you'd like to say thanks to here for this finish at Homestead?
Absolutely. So iRacing, awesome platform, above the yellow line, SimMotion, and then SAVE22, with title sponsor of the series. Appreciate everything everybody does here. Love to go back, V-Speed, listen to the commentary. I'm gonna love getting some ham sandwich time there. And Mike Browning for hosting, Burnouts for Bennett, everything that we're doing that he's going through. Anybody that donates, appreciate, all that. And then all the friends and family for stopping by, watching the broadcast.
Well, again, congratulations, P3 tonight. We'll see what we can do here next week at Martinsville. Go celebrate, Jake.
Thanks, sir.
Well, we've said it once. I could say it a million times, Sky. What a race we had here tonight. I knew it was going to be intense, but I had no idea it was going to come down to the wire the way that it did. What are your thoughts here on tonight?
That was unreal. That was absolutely, I think, the best race we've had that season. That was so much fun to watch. I don't really have words. That was just amazing.
Well, expect another good battle next week as we head to some short track racing at the Paperclip. It's Martinsville to find out who's going to race for the championship at Texas in 2 weeks' time. But until then, make sure that you're checking out the other stuff happening here on the V-Speed channel. We've got races just about every single night and a lot more coming in the future. But for everybody behind the scenes at Goat Locker Racing, Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkis, all the other admins, and of course our race controller, Charles Abert, controlling everything there, making it nice and smooth. For everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, of course our producer, Eddie Smith, and my colleague, week after week, Sky Shrek. My name is Logan Threlkeld. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast, and we'll see you next week at Martinsville Speedway. Good night, everybody.